From the outside, Liam and I seemed like the perfect couple. After 8 years of marriage, we had built a simple yet comfortable life together. Our home was modest but warm, our jobs provided steady income, and our daily routine was predictable. Friends often commented on how lucky I was to have someone like Liam. Dependable, kind, and the embodiment of a good man. I would smile and agree, knowing that on paper, everything appeared as it should. But deep inside, a quiet unease had taken root. Our marriage wasn't unhappy, not in any dramatic sense. There were no heated arguments, no betrayals, no catastrophic moments that shattered trust. And yet, there was something missing. I told myself it was normal for every marriage to settle into a rhythm, for passion to evolve into companionship, for excitement to mellow into familiarity. But despite my best efforts to rationalize it, the persistent feeling of discontent never truly left me. It was a hollow ache, one that had crept in so gradually I couldn't pinpoint when it had started. The spark we once shared had long since faded, leaving only the embers of routine. Our conversations were practical, focused on schedules, groceries, and responsibilities. Tenderness became an occasional afterthought, and intimacy felt more like an obligation than an act of love. I never spoke about it, not even to myself, until one rainy afternoon when my sister, CLA, unknowingly cracked something open inside me. That Friday, I arrived home early from work, grateful for the quiet. My phone rang, and I smiled when I saw CLA's name flashing on the screen. As always, her voice was animated, launching into yet another story about her boyfriend, Greg, and his growing list of flaws. She vented about his lack of ambition, his laziness, and his inability to commit. I listened, offering the occasional hum of agreement, until she suddenly asked, "How did you know Liam was the right person for you?" Her question caught me off guard. I hesitated, searching for an answer that wouldn't sound hollow. The silence stretched, and Ciela laughed, but there was an edge to it. "Come on," she prodded. "Don't tell me you don't have regrets too." I don't know what came over me in that moment. Maybe it was the weight of the last few months pressing down on me, or maybe I just needed to say it out loud, even once. My voice came out quieter than I expected. "Sometimes," I admitted, my own words surprising me, "sometimes I think I regret it." The confession hung between us, heavier than I anticipated. The line fell silent, but the dam had broken. "Liam is a wonderful husband," I continued, my voice steadier now. "He's kind, reliable. He's never done anything to hurt me. But I don't know if he's the one. I don't know if he ever was. I think maybe I settled because it felt like the right thing to do." Saying the words felt like an act of betrayal, yet they were the truth. I had built a life that was stable, secure, good. But was that enough? Was stability a reason to stay? Because when I looked at my life, I didn't feel alive anymore. Ciela's voice was softer now, cautious. "Emma, have you talked to Liam about how you feel?" I let out a bitter laugh. "How do you tell someone you're not sure you'd choose them again if you had the chance?" My voice dropped to a whisper. "It would ruin him." Behind me, the soft creak of a floorboard cut through the silence, and my stomach plummeted. A presence. A shift in the air. I turned sharply, my breath catching. "I have to go," I murmured hurriedly, my heart pounding as I ended the call. Hanging up the phone, I turned around, my heart pounding in my chest. The hallway stretched before me, eerily empty, yet the uneasy sensation crawling up my spine refused to fade. I told myself it was just the house settling, that I was being irrational, but the feeling lingered for the rest of the evening, gnawing at the edges of my mind. Liam was unusually quiet that night. He barely met my eyes, his shoulders tense with a weight I couldn't see. He didn't sit next to me on the couch like he usually didn't reach for my hand absent-mindedly like he always had. I chalked it up to a bad day and decided to give him space. But as the days passed, his distance grew into something more, something unsettling. He left early in the mornings, came home late at night, and when he did speak, his words were clipped, hollow, as though he was forcing himself to respond. When I finally asked if something was wrong, he barely spared me a glance. "TSS. I'm fine," he muttered, brushing past me. But he wasn't fine. A week later, I came home to find him sitting at the kitchen table, a stack of papers neatly arranged before him. His expression was calm, almost eerily so, but his eyes,
Those deep, familiar eyes held something raw, something broken.
My stomach twisted as I stepped closer, my voice hesitant. "What's going on?" Wordlessly, he pushed the papers toward me.
My hands trembled as I picked them up, my breath hitching as my eyes darted over the words.
"Divorce decrees." I looked up, my throat tightening. "You're divorcing me?"
My voice barely rose above a whisper.
Liam's jaw clenched. He exhaled sharply through his nose, shaking his head as if trying to steady himself. "I heard you, Emma." His voice was soft, yet heavy with something that made my chest ache. "Last week. Over the phone. With Claire." I froze. "You don't love me, Emma," he continued, his voice quieter now, almost fragile. "I wasn't supposed to come home that early, but I did." I stood there and listened. To everything. His gaze bore into me, searching for something. An explanation, maybe. A reason. "You think you settled for me. You think I'm holding you back." "No, Liam, Not the way I thought you did," he cut in, his voice trembling with a mixture of pain and anger.
"I was just venting," I pleaded.
"I didn't mean." "You meant it." He closed his eyes for a brief second, inhaling deeply before opening them again. "You may not have wanted me to hear it, but you meant it." He swallowed hard, his hands clenching into fists before releasing. "And I can't stay in a marriage where I'm just someone you settled for." Desperation clawed at my throat as I begged him to reconsider. "We could go to therapy," I told him. "We could work through this." I would prove to him that what I said wasn't the truth. Not really. But Liam was resolute, his pain masked by an unwavering certainty. "You deserve to discover your own desires, Emma," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "And I deserve someone who loves me unconditionally." The next morning, I went to his office, hoping for one last chance to fix things. But he was gone. No note. No explanation. He didn't return my calls, didn't answer my messages. Weeks later, his co-workers told me he had taken a leave of absence. And that was it. Liam never reached out again. Years have passed, but the weight of that night still lingers. I used to believe that words were just fleeting, that they could be thrown out in moments of frustration without consequence. But I was wrong. Words have power. And mine had shattered the one person who had truly loved me. Sometimes, late at night, I wonder where Liam is, if he's happy, if he's found someone who sees him the way he deserves to be seen. And sometimes, in the quiet darkness of my regrets, I wonder if letting him go was the worst mistake of my life.